You know, when you think about these huge, high-stakes federal appeals, you picture brilliant lawyers and these dramatic courtroom showdowns. But what if a massive lawsuit with millions of dollars on the line just disappears? Well, it turns out the most powerful legal case in the world can be taken down by something incredibly simple, just forgetting to do your paperwork.
So here's a weird question for you. What happens when you go through all the trouble and expense to file a federal appeal? Your case is on the docket, and then you just do nothing. You go completely silent. It sounds crazy, right? But the answer tells you pretty much everything you need to know about how the legal system really works.
All right, so to figure out what went wrong here, first we need to understand where this all went down. And believe me, this wasn't just any old courtroom.
This right here is the United States Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. This court is a big deal. It handles super specialized cases. We're talking patent law, international trade, huge claims against the U.S. government. The stakes are always incredibly high, and the judges here, they expect nothing less than absolute perfection.
And the case itself was no joke. I mean, just look at that name, Bright Head LLC versus, well, a whole laundry list of defendants. When you see a case title that long, you know there are some serious commercial interests at play. This was not a simple little argument. It was a really complex piece of litigation that had already been through a ton of fighting at a lower court.
So you've got this major court, you've got a complex case, you're probably expecting months of legal chess, brilliant arguments, a thick judicial opinion at the end, right? Nope. What happened next was the exact opposite. It all ended with just one single piece of paper.
And there you have it. That's the final word from the court. Look at that language. It is ordered, dismissed. There's no wiggle room there, no chance for a do-over. The appeal was just tossed out. The court basically just hung up the phone.
Think about that. All the time, all the money, all the effort to get to this point, and the case was over before it even really began. This is the kind of thing that gives lawyers nightmares. So the big question is, why? What on earth happened? So the reason for this incredibly abrupt ending wasn't some genius legal move by the other side. It wasn't a fatal flaw in the argument. The real reason, well, it's actually much, much simpler than that.
That's it. That's the whole story. Two basic procedural steps that were just missed. The party that started this whole appeal just failed to file two of the most fundamental documents you can imagine. It's kind of like signing up for a marathon and then not even showing up to the starting line.
Okay, so first up was the entry of appearance. This is about as basic as it gets in the legal world. It's a simple form that officially tells the court, hey, I'm the lawyer on this case, send all the important stuff to me. Without that form, the court doesn't officially even know who to talk to. And the second mistake, wow, this one is even more of a head-scratcher. They failed to file the legal brief. The brief is the entire reason for an appeal. It is the whole ballgame. It's that painstakingly written document where your lawyers lay out all their arguments, they cite all the previous cases, and they try to convince the judges that the first court got it wrong. Not filing a brief is like trying to sell a movie to a studio by only sending them the title page. There's just nothing there. So you might be thinking, okay, a couple of missed deadlines. Why such a harsh penalty? Why just throw the whole case out? And this gets us to the really important lesson here. Why the courts treat these rules as absolutely sacred.
See, these procedural rules aren't just annoying red tape. They are literally the operating system for justice. They make sure both sides know what's happening and when. They keep the courts, which are, a limited resource, from getting clogged up with cases that nobody's actually working on. And most importantly, they make sure that everyone, from the biggest corporation to a single person, has to play by the exact same rulebook. If you don't follow the rules, you don't get to play the game. Simple as that.
Think of it like this. The rules are the road to a final decision. If you decide to just wander off that road and into the woods, you're never going to get where you need to go. And the court, it's not going to send out a search party to find you. It's just going to close the gate.
So, after seeing this case, the court, the simple mistakes that brought the whole thing crashing down, what's the one thing we really need to take away from this story?
It all comes down to this one simple, powerful idea. You can have the most brilliant, the most persuasive, the most airtight legal argument in the history of the world. But if you don't file the right form on the right day, the judges will never, ever hear it. Procedure is the gatekeeper, and if you can't get past the gatekeeper, your amazing arguments don't matter.
And that's the big kind of philosophical question this case leaves you with, right?
It forces you to think about what justice even is. The truth of the case, the arguments that could have been made, they just cease to exist in the eyes of the law. They become this ghost in the judicial machine, a case that never really was.
So what happens to the merits of a case when the players don't even show up to play? It's definitely something to think about. Please remember, this explainer is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This is not legal advice. Thanks for watching.